Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all for joining me for another video today. Today let's talk about the possibility of a Russian nuclear attack. But first of all, before we get into the video, if y'all would please take the time to like and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, so moving into the video, we're going to be talking about Russian military leaders discuss the use of nuclear weapons, U.S. officials say. The conversations alarmed the Biden administration because they showed how frustrated Moscow had become with its battlefield setbacks in Ukraine. You know, they have had tremendous setbacks, and the use of a nuclear weapon would not surprise me in order to gain that extra foot. But there's going to be issues with the U.S. and different countries across the world if they did that. The question is, are they ready to take that chance? And the senior Russian military leaders recently had conversations to discuss when and how Moscow might use a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine, contributing to the highlighted concern in Washington and allied capitals, according to the multiple senior American officials. President Vladimir Putin was not a part of the conversations, which were held against the backdrop of Russia's intensifying nuclear rhetoric and battlefield setbacks. But the fact that senior Russian military leaders were even having the discussions alarmed the Biden administration because it showed how frustrated Russian generals are about their failures on the ground, and suggests that Putin valid threats to use nuclear weapons might not just be words. Still, American officials said that they had seen no evidence of the Russians were moving nuclear weapons into place or taking other tactical measures to prepare for a strike. And it's just something that we have to keep our eye out on. It is a concern. If the government is concerned about it, then we should be concerned about it too. The government only gives us about 10% of the information and they keep the other 90%. So we need to keep an eye out on that. Obviously, that is a growing concern. And moving on to a report that CNBC did, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan confirmed reports that the U.S. had talked to Kremlin recently in a bid to lower the rhetoric around the possibility use of nuclear weapons. Speaking at an event at the Atomic Club of New York on Monday, Sullivan did not say he had been engaged in direct talks, but noted he said repeatedly that we have channels to communications with the Russian Federation at senior levels. So something to be keep an eye on as well. Another thing that is highly concerning, when this is the last guy you want to be talking about nuclear war. When he starts talking about it, this is when you need to start really paying attention and start really focusing on the events that's going on. Charles A. Richmond, the commander of U.S. Command, on Wednesday issued an unusually blunt warning about American capability. One of America's most senior military commanders, who oversees the U.S. nuclear weapons program, has urged the United States to dramatically upgrade its defense capabilities, warning that China was developing nuclear weapons faster than the U.S., adding, "The big one is coming." The big one is coming. One more time, the big one is coming. Folks, I don't know what has to be said, what has to be done, what events have to take place for you to understand that we are heading to troubled times. We already are in troubled times, but you need to get prepared. You need to get your family straight. You need to get your lives straight. Yourself situated is what I'm saying. You need to get yourself situated and prepared for any event. You don't want to be sitting all hunky-dory in a restaurant eating your food and everything's fine at home, and all of a sudden, boom, supply chain stop, everything stops, and you are left nothing. You're in line trying to get food. There's no food. I'm not saying you can't go out to eat. I'm not saying you can't be, but what I'm saying is, don't be so caught up in the everyday movement, the everyday life, that you forget to set aside an emergency fund, an emergency backup bank of food, your basic prepping supplies, because the big one is coming. be prepared. Your family will depend on you. Men, your family will depend on you when that happens. Don't be the one, don't be the husband and the man that your wife and your children looks at you and says, Dad, I'm hungry. And you can't just go to the store to get food. And don't be the one where you got a group of 10 people trying to kick in your door because they're hungry too and their families are hungry and they're coming to rob you. And you don't have the capability to protect you and your family and the food that you do have. Don't be that man. Men, be men. Grow a pair. Start preparing for the worst times. We'll see you on the next video. God bless.